Hello, everybody. It's Leslie Denny on our Leslie Denny Fitness group, and I hope you are doing well. Be sure for our tune-up ball class today, be sure to have handy the whole set of balls that you've got, whatever you've got, will make it work. A block and a strap if you have those handy as well, and meet me on the mat and let's chat. So I hope you're doing great today. And I thought I would mention a couple of things really quick. I've had a lot of questions about the archives lately, and it's not just been one person, it's been several people. And I posted a note on our Facebook group. The archives are out of my control. They're a Facebook operated deal, and it is not in chronological order. I just went through every single one of our topics to look at the videos, and it's positioned all over the map. I don't know what they, what their system is to decide what goes first or what goes last or in the middle. But I had to go down, for instance, with the ball class, I had to go down about 4 videos before I found the one from last week. So when you bring up the archives, just give it time to load and then swipe down, and don't feel like just because you've swiped down to a certain point, it's not loading to bring up the next videos, because I think another thing is to remember how voluminous these files are, and it's not easy for them to load. And depending on your web access is what is the biggest lesson I've found throughout this year. Your web may not be quick enough, or your Wi-Fi rather, may not be quick enough to be able to bring all these things up. I've also found that the desktop that I use always gives me everything that I want. When I use a tablet, it's a little bit more cumbersome, and cell phone seems to work pretty well, but sometimes it's hit and miss too. Here comes Merlin, our technological expert right now. Thank you, Betty. So just be aware of that. They're out there, and you might think about doing a refresh on your app as well, the Facebook app. I have found that when all else fails, delete the thing and then reload it. So I'm glad you're here today, and I wanted to talk about something that I'll also talk about in our yoga class tomorrow morning, and it's the art of slowing down. There was a really wonderful book written about this, and I was kind of running through my library a little bit to see if I could find it. And the concept of slowing down actually allows us to be able to embrace what is happening in the moment. Like, and this quote from Nanette Matthews, who is a psychologist for a well-being institute, said, if you're always racing to the next moment, what happens to the one that you're in? And and we talk about that in our segments a lot, about just kind of not really embracing the current moment, but being so busy to move on to the next thing that you lose what's happening right here in front of you, and you're living life right now, right here. So don't miss any of it if you can help it. Yeah, there's going to be those times like you're asleep, or you're scatterbrained, or you're like me, you are running to the next moment, not really worrying about where you are. But the more that we try to slow down and embrace life, the better it feels. Even the uncomfortable moments, when we let them pass, we find out how much better we feel afterwards. So I didn't mean to use that as what we were alluding to, but speaking of uncomfortable, we're going to move into the hips again, and we're going to also take on the calves. We haven't visited those for a little while, so we're going to do quite a bit of hip work, and then we're going to move right into our calves and do some concentrated work for the calves as well as the feet. So let's just come to a comfortable seated posture and take a few deep breaths. Just relax through your shoulders and just kind of feel that breath moving in and out of your body. Hmm. Good. So the first place that we're going to go is we're going to go to a place that's pretty intense, and that's the piriformis. So I typically use the alpha ball. What you can use is any of the smaller balls, one of them if you have them. You're going to place it under the left butt cheek, lift up, and start rolling around that sit bone, shield tuberosity, and just kind of circle your way around it. It hurts so good is one of those things. And so just keep working your way in a circular motion right in that area. Take some deep breaths. Merlin's not a fan of ball rolling. He's a fan of rolling balls. So he's not going to be joining us tonight. But he has a brand new toy and he is still enamored with that thing that he got for his little birthday. So he's been a very active cat as of late. I mean, he's really kind of working out quite a bit and pumping it. I'm pretty impressed. It's hard to keep up with Merlin. Good. Now, I want you to kind of notice where, as you're circling around that sit bone, I want you to go a little higher above it and then slide it a little bit farther to the outside of the hip. Not all the way. Just notice I'm just shifting my hips down a little bit to the point that you can rest that right butt cheek down to the mat. And then I just want you to lengthen that leg out, nice and slow. Then bend the knee again and then lengthen it out. Do you feel that little spot compression moving right into that area? It's pretty tricky, so just go nice and slow. Good. Then as you bend the knees, again, slide it a little farther out. Now you're going to be pinching it right to the outside of the hip, and from here, drop that knee open and bring it back up. Just open and up. Phew. Take your time. Remember the art of slowing down. Experience the discomfort. Good. And now lift back up, and you're going to kind of go below the sit bone, right down there, and then rest and lengthen that leg out and just compress. Good. And then release from there. So now we're going to switch it to the other side. It'll feel really relaxed, but as you switch it to the other side, you're going to go circularly around it. And remember, if this is uncomfortable for your wrist joints, think about sitting your back up against the wall. It's using that wall as a level of support. And just keep circling right around that sit bone. That's a pretty tricky place. It's moving really deep into glute tissue. And I'm trying to really slow the process down. I'm trying not to go too quickly, not to make it worse, but just to be able to really kind of let things absorb and unfold. Just let that tension unfold. And then go ahead and slide that ball just above that sit bone. And you're going to slowly straighten that leg out and then bend it. And then straighten and bend. That puts a lot of compression on it. So do that a couple more times. Good. Then we're kind of going in reverse direction. So now I want you to bring it just below the sit bone and stretch that leg out. And what that does is get really to the base of your buttock and to the top of the hamstrings. So just allow it to relax there. And then as you bend your knee, you're going to bring that ball back up above the sit bone and then slide it out ever so slightly. And then just drop that knee open. I can really feel this, and what I want to do is not do this, but I also know that the more I relax into it, the more my body will give back space to be able to really get the benefit. And then bring it out just a little farther and just rest in it. I'm not playing music today, so if you have some tunes that you'd like to fire up, feel free to do so. Where are you going? What? Mr. Talkative. I know. He's very hungry these days because he's carving up to work out. Thank you, buddy. And then go ahead and release from there. So that was a good starter, right? So now you're either going to go to the small balls or the mid-size set. For this one, I really do like the middle-size set, but for some, you might prefer the smaller size. It just depends on what feels best to you, and also what precludes all of it is if you don't have both sets, you'll just use the one that you've got. It's just the way we make it work. And you're going to draw the block to support your head unless you're very comfortable resting the head down to the mat. We're going to roll ourselves down to the mat and then place one ball square in the middle of each buttock. And then from here, make sure you have them nice and anchored. Then lift your feet up and you're crossing the ankles pretty much and circling those knees around. This easy circling motion. You can hold on to your mat if you need to. Whew. I had to catch my breath there if I talked really loud. Sorry about that. It was just that I really hit a good sensitive spot. And then circle the knees in the opposite direction. Just take your time. Slowing down is an art form. It really is. Every time that we think that we need to be somewhere else or be accomplishing something, we're actually moving away from the moment of life as it's unfolding. And even with something like this, I know that sometimes it'll feel really good and you feel like you're right where you need to be, and then other times it's like, aye. Now rest the feet back down to the mat and just drop the knees open. And then from here, I just want you to take a deep breath and exhale the air and try to relax your body as much as you can. Good. And then release from there. You're going to move the balls to the side for just a moment. And what we're going to do is we're going to strap the end of that right foot, bring that knee in, stretch that opposite leg down, and then just lengthen that leg out and pull it in for that hamstring stretch. And just keep stretching through that leg. Now hold on to the strap, opposite hand, and pull it in and over till you really get into the outermost hamstrings there. It will feel uncomfortable. Deep stretch. And then release from there and switch it off to the other side. Bring the knee in and then lengthen that leg out. Whew. That's a deep stretch. Then as you hold on to it with the opposite hand, bring it over just a little bit till you access those outermost hamstring muscles. and then release from there. Good. Now go back to your twin sets, and this time you're going to place them a little higher than where you had them before. So before we were like square in the center of the buttock. Take them a little bit higher this time, and then lifting up one foot, just circle that leg around with that knee bend. Kind of working into the medius, the gluteus medius muscles that are a little higher up on the hips. They're smaller than the gluteus maximus, but they can be a little pesky, because they are the muscles that help assist the IT band. So when they get really tight, it begins to put a lot of pressure on the IT band and vice versa. So by loosening them up, that gives us a little bit of extra space for our IT band. Oh gosh, that feels like, for me, that feels painfully good. And then release the foot down. Then bring that opposite foot up and start circling that leg around. You can circle it in any direction that you like. You're just trying to create that motion so that you're really getting into the muscle tissue. Ah, boy, that feels really good. And then release from there. Now the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and walk those feet close in and part the knees open again. Remember, we did this earlier, but we did it when the balls were square in the center of the glutes. Try to relax all you can right here, and it's a hard job. Notice that we have actually been moving the closest, like we're moving from the joint at the closest area of impact instead of rolling for right now. Beginning, we rolled on to the buttock, but now we're doing spot compression, and then before that, we were moving the legs around to help the massage. It's kind of known as a pin and stretch. Good. Then release from there. Go ahead and roll yourself up. Now, I'm going to place these balls back into this tote because I'm going to stick with the middle-sized set, but you're welcome to go to the smaller set if that's what you have access to, and if you pull them out of the tote, go ahead and pop them back in. Because we're going to lie on our side, and we've done this, I think, 3 weeks ago. If you go to the inception point where the thigh meets your hip socket, right there on the outside of the hip, the balls are straddling that IT band. And then you're going to roll over to the side and just rest your body and then push yourself up and down along that IT band. So the balls are straddling it, and by holding them in the tote, you're able to really massage into that tissue. And we're really waking up the fascia so that it increases the blood circulation and starts to really loosen things up. That's the whole idea here. And just keep rolling. This is one of those rolls that you absolutely realize throughout your IT band all the way into the knee and in the hips. It's really a good one to do. I do this one often, especially when my knees are bothering me, which they do. I have chronic challenges with my knees, but we've decided to stay together, so we're working with each other. And when I do this, it actually alleviates a tremendous amount of the tension from that area. Good. Now you're going to jump the greater trochanter. That's that hip socket area, the bony part. We sometimes call it the attitude hump when you kick your hips out and you see that little bump on the outside of your hips, and go right into the IT band. We're still inclusive of hips, but the IT band is critical to release tension from the hips. So you're going to lift up and go ahead and draw the ball to the upper thigh and just move up and down. Now, normally we move across the IT band, but today we're going to be moving with the grain. So I'm just going to push up and down. And heavens to Murgatroyd, that really is very quite tense, but I know it's doing me good. So I'm going to ride right through it. Because gosh knows I wouldn't want to miss this moment. So just keep pushing across. And then bring it a little lower. You can just slide the hips down there and then push there. And I'm just using like a rocking motion to work into it. Hoo-wee. Good. And then bring it down a little lower. Keep with that rocking motion. You know, you don't have to be having a workout life of explosive movements to appreciate work that you do with the IT band. You know, it really is a stabilizer for the legs, and it works into the hips, so it affects the hips, which then tension there can affect the shoulders and upper body. So it is really a wonderful area to try to work on, even though it usually barks back, but its bark is louder than its bite. And then take it a little bit lower, and from here, just rock. You're just above the knee, and I'm just rocking here. And then we're going to go into a momentary stretch to help this work out a little bit. That'll affect that low back as well. That'll help. Good. Then release from there and come to an upright seated posture. It's going to feel like one leg is even longer than the other. And if you need to keep your strap and your block handy, go ahead and cross the ankle over. Boy, if Nathan's out there, I sure hope he has something better than a metal box to work with this time. But you're just going to lean forward with that flat back. Now, if you are inspired to grab the foot or use the strap to move deeper, that's fine. But today, for me, I just like to press the hands out to the side, lengthen through that spine, and lean into it. And you're going to pick up that stretch right into the hips. If you are feeling it at the back of your thigh through the hamstring, grab that large ball and place it behind the knee so that you can relax those hamstrings a little bit. And just hold on to that stretch. Good. And then release from there. And we're going to switch it to the other side. So again, I'm using my middle size set. It's my favorite set that I like to work with for the most part. If I'm traveling, this is the one I'm traveling with. Take it to the upper portion just above the hip socket, outside of the hip, then flip it over, and then you're just going to roll. Push yourself up and down here. With that travel in mind, when we start to travel, again, if you do, then this is the great universal set to take with you. You can throw them in your suitcase, keep them in your carry-on, and especially as you're sitting on those planes and maybe you're a little concerned and kind of watching out for yourself, boy, the shoulders pick up tension. Popping that little group of balls behind your back and rolling or moving the arms up against the chair seat, it's wonderful. I mean, really wonderful. You can put them underneath your buttocks and in the seat and massage, and people are going to look at you and say, I don't know what they're doing, but I want to join in. So this is just a really great travel set, the mid-size set. It's my favorite. God. And then you're going to make the jump over the greater trochanter to the top of the thigh, lift up, and then you're just kind of rolling along it. Remember, the balls are straddling the IT band, and you're just pushing up and down. Good. And then bring the balls a little lower. I don't know if you saw this in the newspaper today. Newspaper, listen to me. I sound so dated in the news feed. Um, it was in some beach, I don't know where it was, some deep sea fish washed up on shore that you never see. I mean, it's like it came from the depths. It didn't even have like really, it had eyes, but not like eyes that you see with because it's so deep in the water. And the females, it was only about like this big with really sharp little teeth. And then it had a little like almost like a tail that came out of its like the back of its body, and the end of it had filaments that would shine like a light coming from it that it could see down in the deep sea so that it could patrol for feed. It was really a bizarre looking fish, and they don't know where it came from. So it was fascinating. I like looking at stuff like that. And then just keep rolling right there. Oh, feels really good. And then you're going to drop it a little bit lower right there and massage right across that IT band. What a great spot. What good work. See our time. We've still got a little more hip work to do, and then we're going to head right into the calves. Calves, the unsung heroes of your lower legs. Good. Then release from there and come back to your seated posture. Grab your block or your middle box. Cross the ankle over. Lengthen through your spine and lean into that stretch. Whew, boy, that cleared my nasal passages right there. It felt great. Good. And then release from there. Whew, pop those little legs out. That felt really good. Okay, now we're going to go to the front body and we're going to use the large ball. So we're getting into those hip flexors. Remember when you flex at the hips, this is flexion motion. It's the pocket right here at the very above the top of your thigh before you get really into the hip bone, right in there. So you can stand up against the wall if it's easier for you. But you're going to flip over if you're on the mat, and you're just going to roll the hips from side to side. Just roll, roll. Oh, and just massage it. And you can go circularly if you like, just whatever feels good. And of course, if you don't have the large alpha ball, use what you've got. You got balls, use what you have. Ah. Now we're going to make a short jump to the top portion of your quads. So just lift up, push the balls down, and go right into the very top portion of your quads. Yikes.
Yep, that's the money shot. Phew. Good. Then switch off by pushing back first to stretch out through your back. If you're face down on the mat, if you're face up, standing up against the wall, just switch to the other hip. And then when you're ready, work the other side. Start working that front hip flexor on the opposite side. Push those hips from side to side. You know, I implore people, especially people who are in a desk position or people who have to walk around a lot on the job or on their feet, you need to do ball rolling. You really do. You got to get into this stuff because it just allows you a real freedom range of motion that your body feels liberated after you do it. It just feels better. And the more you do it, the more your body remembers. It really does. So just keep working there. And then make that little leap to the top of your quad. Eh, and push right across there. You know, it was so beautiful this afternoon, and then all of a sudden the marine layer came in, and I was thinking, I've been thinking about this for a long time, I think since the pandemic, the quarantine started rather last year. I was thinking I'd really like to take our systems outside because it's so pleasant and it's actually quite quiet in our neighborhood. There are some things that happen, cars and kids and stuff, but that's life. But for the most part, it's a very quiet neighborhood. Good. And then release and push back to your child's pose. Ooh, boy, that felt good. And just stretch it out. Reach those arms out in front of you. Ah. And then come to a seated posture. Good. So now we're going to get into the calves. I'm going to get a little sip of water here. The calves, again, the unsung heroes of your lower body. They work so hard. And you're going to start with the large alpha ball, no block, and just take it behind whichever calf you want. Play with flexing the foot versus relaxing the foot and see what you can manage. And what I mean by that is what makes you flinch. You don't want to go to the place that makes you flinch. So for me, when I relax out my foot and let the toe dangle, I'm flinching from the inside out. But if I slowly start to flex my foot, that gives me a little bit more tension in the muscle that helps me sustain it without getting all ee. The beauty of it is that as you do this, pretty soon your muscle tissue will relax a little bit more because we're pretty much going across the grain of the gastrocnemius. And that opens up the muscle tissue to get into that fascia that lies within. But then as that starts to relax, you'll start to notice that you can relax your foot out a little bit more. So just manipulate your foot position between flexion and relaxation and just see what works best for you. Just let's roll a little bit longer, just like this on this leg. Oh, good. And then release from there. Switch it over to the other side. Did you notice a change? Kind of how when you manipulated your foot, either through flexion or relaxing it, you could feel the change, right? It's pretty amazing. So I'm going to keep my foot flexed to start with. And then eventually I'm going to play with just relaxing the foot a little at a time. Oops, it's not ready. There we go. You can almost feel the change when you can start relaxing the foot out and rolling the ball across the calf. It does feel better. And just keep massaging across it. We're going to go into a stretch and then we're going to go into, gosh, our final movements for the calf muscles today. A little bit on the foot too. Just do a quick roll for the feet. And then release it there. Now, when you push back to your downward facing dog, great pose. Come into your child's pose, stretch the arms all the way out, then keep the hands in place, curl the toes under, and stretch out through those calves. Good. And then release from there. Okay. Go to the smallest ball you have. Yeah. Grab your block, ball on top of the block, calf on top of the ball. And then go ahead and cross your other leg on top of it. Again, you'll decide whether flexing the foot or relaxing the foot or somewhere in between is the best thing for you to do. And then just keep moving that leg from side to side and just massage right into that calf tissue. It's really this is usually the one that raises the hair on everybody's arms when they do it because it's kind of like we can't believe how much tension the calf holds. I mean, it hasn't been complaining for all of the walks that you took or the bike rides or even just walking around the office or your house, going into the backyard, doing laundry, going shopping. Your calves never said anything. And then all of a sudden when you roll them, they're like, "Arr." So just keep massaging because that tension is there and you want to release it. And then release and just switch it off to the other leg. Get into the widest part of that calf. Now this side is a lot more tense for me. For whatever reason, it just is. I can never figure out why one side, well, I am very dominant on my right side body. I'm ridiculously dominant. And I work on that actually. I hold things, I try to hold things on the other side. I try to do things with my left hand sometimes because I just feel like I'm so dominant on the right side that I carry a lot of tension on that side because it's constantly working. That's just my little backstory. And just keep massaging through it. Our hummingbirds are complaining because the feeder hasn't been replaced out in front. They really have a lot of nerve. They come right to the front and just look right in the window like, get out here. We're hungry. Good. And then release from there. Nice stretch, right? Stick with that little smallest of the balls that you have and come to a standing posture. And then just either foot that you want to, roll the ball underneath your feet, underneath your foot. It'd be really tough to do this on both feet. Now, I had not been rolling my feet pretty much at all lately. For some reason, I hadn't thought about it in class. I hadn't done it at home. And then I started noticing a lot of load and tension in my knees and just really throughout my body. And when I started going back to rolling my feet again, everything started to loosen up. That's the miracle of ball rolling. And to me, it is a miracle. It seems like the simplest thing in the world. But when you do it consistently and do it right, and that doesn't mean like technically right, but you just do it to the point where you feel the release, but you're not beating yourself up, then
Oh my gosh, the differences are huge. So you're going to take the ball just to the bridge of the foot below the big toe, press the heel down, and go ahead and step that opposite foot forward. Oh, that's a big calf stretch. If you feel like, oh, I'm going to fall over, then just kind of step your foot back a little bit because you don't want to lose your balance here. You want to feel really stable. And then release from there and switch it off to the other foot. Just roll, roll. You want to roll fairly vigorously so that you really feel the blood circulation bubbling up. And for those that have, foot maladies, this can feel rough. It can be like, I've seen some people the first time that they do it and they're like, ah, she's hurting me. Good. Now take it to the foot bridge, heel down, step the opposite forward, and just stretch. Mm. Good. And then release from there. Go ahead and come back to a seated posture on your mat. Stow your balls. And then just kind of feel the difference of where you started and where you wound up. So relax your hands to your knees and close your eyes. Just take a few deep breaths. Good. Beautiful job today. I hope you really enjoyed that segment. I'll be posting it in our archives. And then if you're joining us for cycle, we'll be gearing it up at about 5 o'clock to start our cycle class tonight. And remember to send your requests in. If there's something specific that you'd like to work on, I want to know. So if you're leaving on, then have a super night, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.